80s, Kim, you are just treating us well. Let's talk a little bit about something most of us use every day, right? A credit card. If you think that making just one credit card payment a little late is no big deal, think again. It's going to cost you because you're going to have to spend money in late fees. It's going to affect your credit, and then it could even make it harder for you to get a loan. So joining us this morning is Mike Sullivan from Take Charge America. Good morning.
Morning, Kylie.
So it's good to have you here because this is something that affects everybody. So many of us have credit cards. More people have credit cards than cash, right?
More people use credit cards than cash.
There we go.
Yeah.
Use credit cards. How many credit cards do you think we want? Like, what is the limit as far as numbers go? Or is there a limit?
I don't know that it really matters. I have found that it does affect your credit a little bit, but in my own experience, I've had 10 or more credit cards at one time. Not that I used, but that I owned because I don't close them. And I never found any meaningful impact on that. But you really don't need to have more than two.
More than two. So two ideally should be your limit.
Your daily card that is really good for you, and then the emergency card in case something happens to the other card, you lose it, etc. That's really all you have to have.
So we're talking about the dangers of using your credit card because sometimes maybe you have 10 credit cards, right? And so you know that you pay the big ones off, but you forget about those little ones. Oh, I went to Target and I spent $50. Oh, I went to this store and I spent $30. You don't pay it off because you forget about it, and then you accrue such a huge late fee.
Yes. I definitely support the idea of automatic payments because if you forget them, they're just as expensive as if you can't pay them. Although in my experience, the people I work with are the ones that can't pay it, and they're the ones that really get in trouble. If you can't make that minimum payment on your credit card, that's usually when most consumers say, oh, I'm in trouble.
Okay, so we've got the tips on the screen right now. So when you do have a late credit card payment, obviously the late fee is a big thing. The interest rates also can spike.
Yes, once you're late a few months, they can actually increase the interest rate. And of course, if you can't make more than minimum payment when your minimum payment is here, if it goes up to here, you really can't make that payment. So that can be devastating for consumers.
And then reward points. I know a lot of people use it for miles, to buy things, but you could potentially lose what you've gained, what you've earned if you're late making a credit card payment.
Typically, a credit card company will freeze those reward points as soon as you are late and you can't use them. And they can even keep them frozen until you pay off the credit card, not just get current, pay off that card. So if you're depending on those points to fly home for the holidays, you better not be late on your payments.
And then reducing credit limit. Talk about why this is not a good thing as well for your credit score.
This can be terrible because if your credit limit is a problem at $10,000 and you're having trouble keeping up, if they lower that credit limit to $6,000, you now not only have less credit available, but you've got to pay off that larger amount before you can even really use credit. So people who reach that point are usually just in terrible shape. And indeed, that's when you know you have to get help. If you find that your credit limit has been diminished because of how you're using credit, you're in trouble.
Okay, so 2019, obviously, so many folks, especially younger people, use credit cards on the regular. That's all they use. What's your biggest advice? What's the big takeaway for everybody out there?
You've got to pay it off. If you are a serial borrower, you can't use credit cards as your source of cash. Use a personal loan. Find some other way to get money. Ideally, spend less.
There we go. I think that's probably
the takeaway.
That's the takeaway.
But you don't want to carry a balance because it is very expensive, and as we just showed, it's very risky.
Okay, Mike Sullivan, we appreciate you joining us this morning, helping everybody out there, hopefully, make some adjustments in their spending and in their credit card bills.